Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now June 19th, and there's one quote from Independence Day that's really beginning to remind me of how people like Kathleen Kennedy and Phoebe Waller-Bridge and those out there like Leslie Headland are treating franchises. When President Whitmore says in Independence Day, they're like locusts, they're moving from planet to planet, their whole civilization, after they've consumed every natural resource, they move on. And where next? As in Indiana Jones as a franchise. They are moving from franchise to franchise and just moving on. That's how I feel Kathleen Kennedy and those like Phoebe Waller-Bridge are treating the overall Star Wars universe, the Indiana Jones universe, and next, the James Bond franchise that Phoebe Waller-Bridge wants to take over, as well as Tomb Raider. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And without further ado, let's get right into all of this. Now, we know that Indy 5 is a movie right now that's been highly criticized for multiple reasons, alright? We know that a lot of fans are having issues with this because of all the things that Kathleen Kennedy has been saying, that Phoebe Waller-Bridge has been putting out there, that really has not been healthy for the overall community. Now, we know that Steven Spielberg has been on a very big train of humiliating Kathleen Kennedy, putting her on the spot, whether or not it's to support her or to downplay her is very confusing. We're going to get into that in just a second, by the way. What's interesting here, though, is how Steven Spielberg puts Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall on the spot again, involving Indiana Jones 5. So with Steven Spielberg endlessly promoting Indy 5 ahead of its June 30th release, Spielberg recently had something important to say to the entire community. He delivered the following to fans: "Well, I can say this much about the Indiana Jones franchise. We only like to focus on the actors and composers, as well as the true creators, that are the ones that contribute to the success of a franchise this big. It takes more effort than just producing to create a proper story. The creativeness is the real hard work. The acting is the true blood and sweat and tears that goes into this job to make it work for the audience. People always ask me about producing and producers, and I just don't see how that contributes to the success of a franchise. There's just no creativity, and more than half the people don't really know what a producer even does down to the specifics. So it's easier for people to focus on the true stars to a successful franchise. We really try to separate producers that contribute to the success, such as Indiana Jones, and especially with this one, such as The Dial of Destiny." Let me pause here again, guys. This is similar to what he did in past interviews and on stage, where he says, you know, it's all about Harrison Ford, myself, Lucas, and John Williams. When he mentioned John Williams, Kathleen Kennedy stopped clapping because she expected herself to be the last name, or the last name drop, so to speak, on stage. She got so offended. She just looked like she was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I felt like I was going to get, referenced there, or named. Very narcissistic attitude, as usual, and this is always happening with Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy. But here's the question. A lot of people like you guys out there have been reaching out to me and bringing up a very interesting point about this. Some people are like, is Spielberg downplaying the role of a producer, such as Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall, perhaps? If Indy 5 fails, then we can't really point at Kathy Kennedy. We're going to have to point at people like Mangold and Harrison Ford and others out there like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. It could be that way. Some people are thinking that this is a intentional campaign by Spielberg to prevent people from pointing fingers at Kathy Kennedy as a producer. That could be the reason why he's doing this, and maybe in the end, it's not really downplaying or embarrassing Kathleen Kennedy, who knows, but I don't know about that one. I'm still on the fence about that, because Kathy Kennedy really felt embarrassed on stage. Her body language was completely, very angry against Steven Spielberg, and even Harrison Ford said the same exact thing as Steven, so I don't think he's, trying to basically protect Kathy Kennedy either. So it's a really hard thing to put your point on. But moving on to the next thing. He goes on to continue. So much hard work was pushed into this thing by Harrison, James, and others that really worked so hard on this one. With Dial, I would say fans should only point fingers at the actors and creators of this film. So here he goes. Whether or not the love of this movie. Whether or not they love this movie. And of course, they are already discussing sequels. I know Phoebe has been pushing Lucasfilm for follow-ups or spin-offs to continue this universe, much like Star Wars and Marvel. So I really have to plug myself here to contribute to the success, as well as Mr. Lucas and John Williams for really creating true magic. We cannot wait for fans to go to the theater to see Indy one last ride. And one last adventure. It's the chance of a lifetime, that's for sure. Alright, so again guys, this is a very big thing that I do want to bring up here that I think a lot of people need to know, is that everything related to Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, is that we know that Spielberg has been really putting Kennedy on the spot. This is like the third or fourth time now. It's almost intentional at this point. Whether it's to protect her or to humiliate her, it's really kind of like a big conversation right now. I believe it's the overall last piece there. I believe he is putting her on the spot to downplay her on purpose, because we know that Spielberg and Kennedy had kind of a very difficult friendship before in the past, or different business relationship, I should really say. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I have to make this point, and I have to put this out there for those of you that do not know, she is working on a Tomb Raider series. Alright? This is actually true. She's talked about this on camera, even just recently. And there's no doubt about it, that this is why Helena is the true star of Indy 5. It is a prelude to what we are going to be getting in Tomb Raider. That's basically what it is, and we know that Phoebe admitted a couple days ago, like 4 days ago, that she played a role in telling some of the story elements of Indy 5 with James Mangold. Sure, she's not credited as a writer, but she did contribute to this story because she herself is a screenwriter. So, without a doubt, this is basically her stepping stone, her testing the waters of how her Tomb Raider series is going to perform. So if you guys don't want her running Tomb Raider, this is probably your best shot at showing your criticism of Phoebe Waller-Bridge after you either A, see the movie in theaters or on Disney Plus, or if you just flat out never see it at all. It's just going to show you that things really are turning out for the worst. She even is heading over to Bond 26, the James Bond universe, of course, that they want to expand now. She had a role in No Time to Die. There were some little examples in No Time to Die that she contributed to, obvious things that we've talked about. So, interestingly enough, guys, I would like to hear what you all have to say about that. And like I said in that quote earlier about Independence Day, it's true. They really are like locusts. They are moving from franchise to franchise, consuming every natural resource, and the resources being the characters, and then moving on to the next. That's exactly what they're doing here, without a doubt. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.